Well, this morning, some schools are starting late or canceling their bus routes as snow and ice sticks from last weekend's winter storm.
Yeah, meanwhile, some schools will be closed today, including Lamar, Mena, and Magazine school districts, citing slick roads. Tallahena Public School is set to go virtual today. Other districts are opening, but with altered bus routes and start times. You can find a full list of those changes and delays on our website, which is 5newsonline.com.
Right now, the city of Greenwood has put a boil order into place as a precaution due to a recent water main repair. The order affects customers northwest of Center Street from Lockside Drive to Highway 41 and also includes Shadow Lake. Customers are encouraged to boil water for 1 minute before drinking, cooking, making ice, or brushing their teeth. The order will stay in place until further notice. You can stay with 5 News for the latest.
Well, Lakeside Junior High School in Springdale has a very special opportunity coming up this spring. The choir just began rehearsing for a performance at Carnegie Hall in New York City.
5 News reporter Claire Everbach is joining us live in studio. And Claire, you got a chance to sit on the rehearsal and hear these students sing. Let's talk about this opportunity for them.
Good morning, Tiffany, excuse me. We're tired on the morning shift. Good morning, Emily. Good morning, Tiffany. Well, not only did I get to hear these students sing, and they sounded great, I also got a chance to talk with them about why this trip is meaningful. And for many students going, it's their first time out of Arkansas. Peyton Englehart is an 8th grade student in the girls' choir at Lakeside Junior High. She says this will be her first trip without her family and is excited to experience a big city in person. Peyton has been singing since 4th grade. She calls the choir a unique group, and she, along with about 50 other students, is working together to bring their music to life on stage.
I'm excited because I'm able to walk around and look at new things and see everything in a different point of view than just on a screen. The different voices in our choir, I feel like all of them together create a different emotion for some people.
The concert will feature student choirs from around the country with Lakeside Junior High as the headlining group. And the performance will take place in May, just after Memorial Day. Claire Everbach, 5 News.
Thanks for that, Claire. Well, today is the last day to register to vote ahead of the March 3rd election day here in Arkansas. Voters will cast ballots in primary elections next month, including in the race for the U.S. Senate seat held by Republican Tom Cotton. Voters will also decide on nonpartisan races and school elections. You can pick up a voter registration form at your county clerk's office, local DMV office, or public library. If you're mailing in the form, it must be postmarked 30 days before the election. Well, tomorrow, a Republican primary runoff will take place in the race for the Senate District 26 seat. It's been vacant since Senator Gary Stubblefield died in September. Wade Dunn and Brad Simon are looking to move on to the special election on March 3rd. The winner of the runoff will face independent candidate Adam Watson. Early voting is underway today, and you can find details on voting sites at 5newsonline.com.
Well, the state is responding after a Fayetteville murder suspect accused a deputy of destroying his court documents. Casey Jennings is accused of killing his ex-girlfriend Allison Castro in 2022. He's currently being held without bond in Washington County. In December, Jennings wrote a letter claiming a deputy at the county jail had taken his legal documents and destroyed them with water. Prosecutors responded to Jennings' letter last week, saying the sheriff's office had investigated the allegations and they did not find truth to the claims. Jennings is expected in court on Wednesday. He's facing the death penalty and has elected to represent himself in the case. The 5-year-old boy whose images went viral after he and his father were detained by immigration agents in Minnesota has returned home. The child and his father were recently released from a Texas detention facility. It comes amid continuing immigration crackdowns and national protests across the country, which are also fueled by the recent shooting deaths of 2 U.S. citizens in Minneapolis.
Well, we have really good news and a ray of light that, we have some family members coming back. ICE is still here.
Well, the Department of Homeland Security pushed back at a report identifying federal agents in the shooting of Alex Preddy in Minneapolis. DHS says it will not confirm or deny their identities, calling such reporting dangerous for law enforcement. Meanwhile, President Trump says he has directed the Department of Homeland Security to not intervene in Democrat-led cities unless local leaders request it.
If they want help, they have to ask for it. Because if we go in, all they do is complain.
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says it has halted all movement at the Dilley, Texas Detention Center, where Liam Ramos and his father were held after 2 detainees tested positive for measles. Well, this morning, the U.S. government is still in a partial shutdown. Hours before Friday's deadline arrived, the Senate reached an agreement on a funding bill, though.
However, that deal isn't official until the House votes on the matter. John Lorink has more.
The U.S. starts a new week without Washington, D.C. running at full throttle.
The question mark over a government shutdown is certainly a big one and a political problem, really for both parties, but certainly for Republicans right now, as the polling is showing a great deal more pressure on them.
On Tuesday, the House is expected to vote on the funding package that passed through the Senate last week.
Because of the conversation I had with Hakeem Jeffries, I know that we've got to pass a rule and probably do this mostly on our own. I think that's very unfortunate.
The legislation backs most government agencies through much of the year, except the Department of Homeland Security, which will only get funded for 2 weeks while lawmakers work to reform DHS's immigration operations.
Body cameras should be mandatory. Masks should come off. Judicial warrants should absolutely be required, consistent with the Constitution in our view, before DHS agents or ICE agents are breaking into the homes of the American people or ripping people out of their cars.
This partial government shutdown is expected to last until at least Tuesday, while Washington, D.C. tries to come to some sort of agreement.
So I think it's all of our responsibilities to reopen the government.
I'm not just a no, I'm a firm no, and I'm going to advocate with colleagues that they vote no.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
Well, the partial government shutdown will not result in tens of millions of Americans losing their food assistance benefits, but other travel could be hindered, and some people might not be able to get certain federal loans to buy homes or operate small businesses.